Yeah, an important thing I want to bring up here as we jump into Champion Select is that, not only that, if you get the red Canids win, right, they keep that 2-win buffer. With the Loud loss today, an INTZ win here is huge. They keep pace with Pain. They would be at 8-3. That would mean both of those teams would only be 1 game behind Red after today's action, and then Loud falls to 3rd or they would actually be in third, tied with Fluxu alone. So this is a very pivotal game for our standings. Getting into the picks here, Poppy, the first pick for the Red Canids. INTZ responding with the Zaya and the Rel. And hey, I love this. We've talked about not liking the Kaisa blind pick. INTZ says, hey, we'll leave the Kaisa up. We'll pick the cap.
Yeah, exactly. Not only is Ninja Kiwi not going to pick the Kaisa, he's just like, okay, I dare you to do it. Pick something else. Now the problem is, daring to do that could be a very, very bad idea. Because as good as Kaisa has been in general, I think Titan's Aphelios has always been his scarier pick. And that is something you can pick into the Zaya and do reasonably well. I also want to go back to that Poppy pick as well, because that caught me off guard, right? Like, Aegis doesn't actually really play Poppy. For all that we think of him as Hyori jungler, he hasn't really picked it up. And F&B on a Poppy?
Nope.
Like, sure, he played Sion, and that already surprised me. Poppy, not a champion I'd associate with him. So definitely a bit of a change in style. Oh, shot. Okay, Titan.
And I was going to say, to note, you talk about the Aphelios for Titan, it is the pick that he went 9-2-11 on against INTZ back in week 1, but Red doesn't opt for it. They say, fine, you take the Zaya, we'll take the Kaisa. We're happy with this pick, and we'll keep an eye on it. Certainly, important to note, there is flexibility. You can throw that Jace top lane. Envy could take the Kaisa. Of course, we saw Tinons playing it in the mid lane earlier today, so not everything entirely set in stone here in this Champions League. Vi going to be logged in here for INTZ, a jungler that we know has been very prized by junglers early on this split, but has really just hit the ban table way more often than not.
And a Rumble ban, Yeso, which just came through. So our first game, we're not going to see Rumble on the Rift. He's been benched instead. And Annie. So these teams are really taking out the literal firepower here from the pool. Both teams. INTZ still looking for their mid lane, or their solo laners, pardon me, for INTZ. For Red, like we mentioned, a potential flex pick, but a support needs to come through from them as well.
Am I crazy to look at that Rumble ban and think that has nothing to do with like INTZ's prep against Red and more to just do with the 4 games that they've watched today? And they just look at it and see like, all right, the only game that Rumble lost was when Kaboom picked it, so like this is a really strong pick.
Wait, was it the Kaboom game the only one they lost on? I thought Furia picked it as well, right? And couldn't pull it off. I'm losing it.
I'm mixing up. There's so many, a lot of champ selects.
That's fair, and a lot of Rumbles we've seen. Either way, I do think though that INTZ probably scouted in advance and was like, hey, Rumble is really strong. All the teams seem to agree with that, and that's why we're seeing so much of it. Nosferus going back to his Cassiopeia once again, and I like it. We talk a lot about deathball compositions with Akisa. This is to make sure that does not come through.
You are correct, by the way. It was Furia picking it for Batal in game 1, because I do remember that it was Wiser on the Jax that did beat it. Yes. So it does have 2 losses today, 2-2
50-50
so far, but it has looked potent for sure, and of course tons of utility and damage in the team fights. I love this Cassiopeia pick for Nosferus here in the mid lane, a pick that he has been very good on. Also, it feels like the only mid laner that really is playing it with any sort of consistency this split. And meanwhile, Red picking up the Gragas. How does this... Is that a top lane Gragas? Is that a mid with the Jace flexed up?
I'm not sure. I would want to say that it's a Gragas top, just because FNB hasn't actually played Jace the split, but he has 2 games of Gragas versus Envy, who has played the Jace more, and FNB hasn't. But either way, I don't think the matchups are going to be great, especially with that Gwen locked in for INTZ. Axeman is probably popping off in the chat. He's been praying for the Gwen, and we get it for ZZK, because ZZK is known for his Olaf, but let's not forget what happened the last time he got Gwen. He took over the game and could have effectively 1v9. Didn't have to, because INTZ was with him, but could have with that pick.
Yeah, ZZK feels like he's trying to steal the mantle of the, the Gwen top laner from Gigo with the way he's played on it this split. And opportunity to do that here against Red Canids. Let's bring our good friend Rooted back in here to get ready for our final game of the day. A lot of flex picks on the side of Red Canids, and we are going to see that Gragas going top lane to FNB. Rooted, what are your thoughts here on this final champion select?
I am very happy at the pioneering and innovation of Tau/Croc. We have had a Poppy B1 in CBLOL. I can die a happy man. The teams are picking just, honestly, Phase Rush Poppy might be the most fun I can have in general. That provides no analysis to the game itself, and I don't care. That, for me, mwah, chef's kiss. Peak of drafting.
That's perfectly fine. Now, here's the problem, Rude. As much as you enjoy the Poppy, I don't know if this is the game where I'm going to enjoy the Poppy. It does feel like we don't have a ton of forward dashes coming through from INTZ, and I don't know if Aegis survives going in to try and stop defensive dashes.
But look at all the disengage. They've got Gragas Spiral, they got Poppy Copter, and then we ignore how badly that synergizes with Kai'Sa and Rakan, maybe. Nevertheless, though, folks, this is our final game of the day. Two teams at the very tippity top of our standings. Take it away, Yasa.
Definitely the game that I circled as my personal match of the week as I looked ahead at the games we had slated for this beautiful weekend in July. And Champion Select, I think, certainly delivered here so far. The Poppy, like my guess, is just going to be focused on trying to deny the engages from Vi and Rel. Age is going to be looking to keep Yampi and Nia off of his backline and keep Titan and be safe. It is going to be the engage here from Nia over the wall, forces the flash out of Aegis, and that is an early victory here for INTZ.
Just going to say at level 1, the Poppy didn't stop anything from happening.
Yep.
You also don't start steadfast presence at level 1. That would really mess with your clear. Yeah, so let's talk about how these comps want to operate, because we were shocked and happy about a lot of the individual picks that came through, but compositionally, I think INTZ really swept the draft. I think they got a lot of things which counter what Red want to do. Red actually wanted more of a poke composition. If you pick Poppy, Gragas, Jace, and Kai'Sa, you're not thinking about the engage. This is more AP Kai'Sa, who's going to try and poke people down and then go in to pick off sort of the weaker members. But INTZ with the... Oh, hold up. Are they fighting? Okay, no, they're fine. With the Rel, with the Vi, have really strong engage already. And more importantly, we'll never get to see the aggressive side of Red's composition. Anytime they want to go in, they're playing to a Xayah Cassiopeia. So Red feel like they have to play the hardest composition that CBLOL has yet to succeed with, and that's the poke comp.
Yeah, and you just know, right, if Titan wants to go for that killer instinct to the backline, all Nostrus is going to do is throw down the miasma and say, like, okay, FNB and Aegis, like, good luck getting back here. We're just going to try and kill this Kai'Sa before you can even do anything about it. So keep an eye on how this Cassiopeia plays in this game. Could be very key when we get to the team fights. Of course, checking in on this top lane. Gragas, not a pick we've seen a ton this split, but that'll be what ZZK's matched up against here on the Gwen. And it is, interesting enough, triple phase rush for the top side of Red. Gotta go fast, MC.
Gotta go fast. I mean, honestly though, actually this comp does have to go fast, because if Red want to win, the way I'm looking at it, which is highly ironic considering we're saying that Red is the second worst early game team, is they have to win the early game in their lanes. Jace can beat out Cassiopeia. She does outrange. Gragas probably has a better shot in the early game when his base damage numbers are higher and Gwen hasn't scaled up yet. As I say that, FNB is getting snipped to pieces. That's not happening up top. And Dalbot, Rakan can beat out a Rel with how mobile he is, and Kai'Sa can beat out Xayah early. She needs items to skill as well. So Red, they're playing this on hell difficulty right now. They've got to play the hardest composition. They've got to win an early game against the best early game team. I don't know why Red have done this themselves, but I'm hoping they're able to execute on it.
Yeah, and I mean, that just the INTZ composition scales incredibly well. So if you're thinking, well, you know, Red's mid and late game is so good, right? They beat teams late. It's like INTZ might just be able to just stat check you though at that point in the game with how strong the Cassiopeia and the Zayat are going to be, and even the Gwen becomes a problem once she hits 2 items.
Yeah, definitely not only a stat check, but INTZ, as we say they're a good early game team. I want to make this clear. We are not saying that they're good early and bad late. They are amazing early and good late. So, good late team plus a better draft does make things feel very, very difficult. For now, a bit of interaction in the lanes. The junglers haven't really gotten involved in the lanes yet. Instead, we're seeing kind of the junglers just farming up, trying to get to the points where they get their ultimates. And that's when things get kind of spicy, because Poppy at that point wants to fight objectives and just yeet out enemy junglers. Vi, on the other hand, wants to start ganking and getting kills. And that's when things are going to get spicy for both these teams, because they will want to
Envy has been playing fairly aggressively on this Jace early on. Meanwhile, Yampi got to get up to the top side. Looking for this Q is just going to be short there of locking down FNB. ZZK wasn't really in range to do a whole lot, so Yampi will take just a little bit of damage there and back away after looking for that first gank to the top lane. And Red immediately taking the initiative. Get a ward down in Yampi's blue side jungle. Start this Drake as Aegis is perfectly positioned, and Cryo from Frosty and Titan makes this easy decision for them. We'll see if INTZ wants to contest, because Yumpy has gotten down here. Ninja Kiwi arriving back in lane, and Nia pushing Frosty back, and INTZ will get them off of this streak.
So, you should remember when I was saying at level 6, these junglers want to, for INTZ, gank top, or gank, and Red want to do objectives, Drake bot side? That's why I said level 6, because before that, things are a lot more coin flippy, and you're kind of trusting in your luck a little bit to be able to make things happen. So it's great to see that the teams are on board with the idea. They know what they need to do with their positions. If anything, they're overeager a little bit to make this happen. Now, Yampi, he's going to try and do this, and I like the idea from INTZ. I just don't know if they've got the right priority or the right people around to make this happen.
Well, it looks like Frosty wants to get into the action here in the bottom lane. Aegis has arrived, flash away from Nia to get out of range of that stun from Aegis, and Yampi coming down to back up his bottom lane. He's going to charge up the Q here, spotted by Aegis. Does get some good damage, though, onto the Poppy, and will back away. So, well played from the INTZ jungler to back up his bottom lane, and with the priority that Nosferus was able to get in mid lane as well as Ninja Kiwi and Nia bot, this should be an easy first streak for INTZ.
Yeah, well played from them. This is why they're the best early game team in the league. They know exactly what they can get away with, and more importantly, they know when they've won and where to back off. No kills came across. It was just INTZ forcing Aegis back, but because Aegis was low, INTZ just knew that you can't contest us. We know you've got vision on this dragon. We literally do not care. ZZK, level 6.
Yeah, and also just a very good job of playing around Envy's recall there, knowing he didn't have teleport, but Aegis gets up to the top lane. Perfect timing here as ZZK is going to get taken down. That is first blood for FNB, so signs of life for Red Canids in this early game.
And beat it up as well. They wanted to make sure that was 100% going to convert as the gank goes, but FNB and Aegis played that really, really well. And this is why we're talking about the fact that, hey, when you look at those nameplates, we expect Red to be the ones taking over the early game. And this game, at least, a small lead, frankly, quite minuscule. 500 doesn't mean much, but it's a lead nonetheless. And that's not something a lot of teams can say they've gotten against INTZ.
No, certainly a rare occurrence here. It's not often when your average goal difference of 15 minutes is over 900. So INTZ have been wonderful in the early stages of these games. We'll see if they can get that rolling here very soon. Early neutral objective control, playing around that priority mid and bot lane. We'll see if they can turn that into any kills here very soon, as Nia playing around this mid lane for the time being means the AD carry is isolated in bottom at this moment.
Yeah, usually we see supports kind of roam into the mid lane, try and gank, get a little bit of action there. Nosferus wasn't there, so Nia actually gets to pick up solo XP instead. That might be critical because Nia gets level 6 sooner and can try and force a little bit more action. Frosty, I love how Frosty didn't care. It's like,
I mean, he
don't
knows.
do damage. Yeah, like, there's nobody else here, I'm good. Yampi though, that's gonna do damage.
Ooh, is going to get over the wall on the ultimate. Immediate level 6 to lock down Titan, forces the flash out of the Kaisa. Well played there from Yampi, and now that just means extra room for error in the bottom lane for INTZ. Ninja Kiwi and Nia can play even more aggressively now as Frosty going to get locked down momentarily. Yampi continuing to apply pressure.
Yeah, I love that Yampi actually stuck around after that gang, trying to find more. The problem is they're kind of mobile. It's kind of hard to pull the dive off. Frosty, not 6 yet.
Flashes away, still staying under tower, is able to dash to the safety of his teammate, but I don't know that it's going to much matter. Low health here on Yampi, will get taken down, but it's going to be the 2-for-1 trade there. Huge double kill for Ninja Kiwi.
Buff transfer complete. Yampi giving that over to Ninja Kiwi. ZZK.
Huge flash to get away there. Doesn't get stunned by the Poppy. Doesn't know if it's gonna matter. The scissors to work here. Oh no! The Q from FNB is short. ZZK is gonna get out.
Oh my goodness! And this is why we question if Gigod still is the best Gwen in CBLOL when ZZK is pulling moves like this. Red buff got picked up as well, which means he's gonna heal right back up. He's not worried. It's FNB who has to be scared. This bot side dive though, very, very interesting. And Frosty tried to play this, but remember we talked about that level 6 for Nia, and so Magnet Storm comes up early. That turned out to be pretty massive, and the fact that Frosty kind of ran away from the turret, I think really bit them. If they sit under turret, maybe they can find that heal onto Yampi a little bit sooner, but as it stands, they both end up going down. It's fine. 2-for-1's not the end of the world. This part, though, this is just a mechanical feast, and ZZK plays this so incredibly well. Asia's here just got a little bit too hyphy. Stepping up, didn't even take the turret shot. It's just that Gwen's true damage when in the center of her snip just does ludicrous amounts of damage through all phases of the game.
And FNB is going to be kicking himself, missing with that last barrel, because that kill was there, right? If he just throws that a little bit further, he takes down ZZK, and you know, they get the 1-for-1 trade, but ZZK gets out scot-free, picks up a kill, and this Gwen, man, keep an eye out. FNB ahead right now, right? The first blood gold, a bit of a CS lead, but ZZK is going to become a problem as this game continues.
Yeah, now, it is worth noting as well that Red did pick up the Herald earlier while Yampi was tanking bot lane. And they still have a bit of a gold. So Red as a whole are still in a good position. A lot of that gold, as you mentioned, is on FNB, though. And that is the sort of equalizer to me. And I'm kind of thinking, like, are they really ahead? I'd love to see Red transition that lead to other lanes, because FNB is not going to be your big carry this game. Yes, he's going to build kind of AP, but it is going to come down more to Envy and Titan. Getting them that gold is going to be so much more.
And INTZ has the information. They know that Red have stacked up Imps Brush thanks to some well-placed wards. So Yampi is here to set things up. The Magnus Storm to lock a few down. Osfer is absolutely locking up the Red Canids. Light up, they'll take down one. Maybe looking for more. Envy is dead, but Frosty and Aegis safe under tower.
And that information inequality that you're talking about came back to bite them. Aegis and Frosty have to be so careful here.
Ooh, good steadfast presence there to stall Nia, and that means Frosty and Aegis can get away for the time being. But guess what? This means another setup here for Red. Priority in mid, looking to get that here in bot. They're looking for a second Drake. Yeah,
the Keeper's Verdict already used as well in that mid lane fight, so Aegis can't really force the disengage. And I want to highlight Frosty stepping up to take that Vault Breaker as well from Yampi. Very, very well played. Oh, Red, do we really want this fight?
Oh, I guess they do. That's good damage on to Frosty, and the Rakan is not going to get away this time. Ninja Kiwi absolutely shreds through Titan there, and that's another kill there for the Xayah. Ninja Kiwi, a big player right now for INTZ. FNB looking to step forward. Will claim some vision. Looks like INTZ ready to back away, happy with the spoils they've already taken.
FNB going deep into enemy territory. Might get cut off a little bit here, but it's trading very well into ZZK.
There's those base damages you were talking about, RFD, and ZZK will be invulnerable from that final barrel. But let's take a look at the replay here. This fight at Drake, it all starts with it being picked up by INTZ.
Yeah, and INTZ just have a numbers advantage. You see the TP's channel, it doesn't matter. And that right there is why I question every single blind Kaisa when Xayah is open and available. And in fact, Ninja Kiwi picked Xayah first, pardon me. So Titan, you picked up the challenge and said, I can beat this. But can you really?
I mean, really feels like, you know, we've talked about ego drafts this split. That just Kai'Sa pick, that's an ego pick right there, it feels like, from Titan. And I'm not surprised, right? Knowing the kind of player and personality that Titan is, that certainly is, you know, within my realm of understanding of that player, as Frosty hits the thumbs up after, unfortunately, fat fingering his stopwatch there. But yeah, I mean, it feels very Titan to just pick that Kai'Sa into the Xayah that you already know is there.
Part of me wants to make a happy hour joke about that stopwatch, but I'm going to be honest, I'm actually very scared that the stopwatch is going to be used for Red, because it's going to be a while before Frosty can convert that to any item. And Frank kind of needed it for the next team fight, I think, to try and turn things. That's another playmaking tool that will not be available for them. Herald's coming up in 30 seconds, or 40 seconds, pardon me. And INTZ have already set up vision, are going to be actively looking to make this fight happen with the power spikes that they have.
We'll keep an eye on it here. Yampi dashing over the wall. They're just looking to lay down some vision here in the area. They want to play for this next Herald in 25 seconds. FNB pushing the wave in the bottom lane. Quick summoner spell check here. FNB will have teleport up relatively soon. ZZK, it's going to be a little while, so FNB can remain in this bottom lane, play for these towers, then teleport to a fight at Herald soon if he so chooses.
We're checking on that top side, and we was able to take out that turret solo, and that's going to be nice for Red in terms of trying to get control over this Herald pit for this next Herald. Problem is, now Envy has to be careful about pushing out, because they still don't have vision control around that Herald pit, Baron pit, and that does mean that he could very easily get ganked by INTZ.
Rift Herald has started here by INTZ. FNB maintaining pressure on this tower. Teleport is available, but the play from Red is not to contest at this Rift Herald. They want to get these waves pushing in mid and bot lane, maybe start to set up for this next Drake in a little under 2 minutes. Frosty gonna hit another thumbs up. So, okay, 16 minutes in RMC. You set up at the front what INTZ brings to the table in terms of a team and how strong their early games are. And we talked about how their composition scales. Looking at where Red is at here 16 minutes into the game as the pay comes through in the mid game. Where are you at on Red right now, and what is the next 5 to 8 minutes like for them?
So I think Red have done a good job of the early game, but not a great job. And that's where things get a little bit risky. They have a lead, which is significant, not just because it's Red versus INTZ and they're on opposite spectrums of the early game, but also because of the way their composition wants to run. What's really good for Red is FNB right now is winning the 1v1. So they still have that side lane pressure, but I think Red need to accelerate their pace of trying to take objectives. They've already lost control of the dragons. Dragon stacking is not a great win con for them anymore. I would love to see them instead start rotating and try and force picks or plays under turret, especially with the explosive cask. You can't just show up at a turret and say, I dare you to defend this, I will kill you if you step up. That's for it. INTZ, they've done a great job so far stalling out the game, and that's what I want to continue seeing them do. Just keep farming up, and hey, if you ever see Red kind of on their own, weak siding a lane, well, we already said, give the weak side police a raise, because we want to see more of them show up in these games.
We'll keep an eye on teleport coming from the base here, perfectly timed, as that is first item picked up there by ZZK. And INTZ, they want to contest for this. They've already got 2 Drakes in their back pocket. They don't want to allow Red to stall this soul take, as that is going to be the Keeper's Verdict, launching a very big engage tool out of this fight, as that is Nia getting knocked away. Cease and desist there onto FNB. Yalpi has to back away. A lot of damage onto him. Petrifying Gaze would not lock anybody down. But guess what? Red has been pushed entirely out of the pit. But it doesn't matter, because Aegis is clean with the smite, and Red get the Drake.
So INTZ gets the kills, and Red get the objective. Originally, that's what we said they wanted to do, but the game has changed so much that it kind of sucks that Red had to give up kills. Aegis, the hero, the man of the hour, he stuck around. He had flash. He could have left, but he didn't. He said, we get this objective instead, CZK.
Nia thought this was maybe trying to catch Frosty, but actually, with Envy and FNB waiting in the brush, it might turn around on. But that is a Cassiopeia teleporting into this fight, wants to chase down FNB. We're fighting on 2 different fronts here, folks. We got the Mega Zoom out here. Zosterus isn't going to be able to pick up a kill. Meanwhile, Nia 1v1ing Envy here, and finally assistance has arrived. That is going to be Envy taken out. Kill credit goes to the Cassiopeia.
Wait, can I just highlight, ZZK didn't get an assist onto the kill from Envy. Because he was so busy trying to survive, he did the smart thing, the right thing. He didn't greed for the kill, or Envy would have killed him. But it does mean ZZK was literally just bait, no assist. And INTZ did commit a lot into that particular play. Unfortunately for Rid, they weren't set up and ready to take advantage elsewhere. The entire goal was to find the pick bot, and they didn't manage to do that. They tried to bait, they tried to go fishing, but they lost the worm.
And this Cassiopeia is only going to get harder to kill. Fully upgraded Seraph's Embrace is already done, so you have that lifeline passive to keep you alive. Of course, Rod of Ages makes you even beefier as well. So, man, and then you add on, you know, when Nostris can get this Conqueror fully stacked up, the added sustain that you get from that, this Cassiopeia is going to be a problem. These priority targets on INTZ, very difficult to kill for Red Canids. Keep an eye on what they can get done. Perfect time to look at this gold graph. Bit of a roller coaster.
Wow.
RFC, it's currently red in a minor, or well, it was. It's the INTZ, I should say, in the minor league. They are red side.
And one thing I wish we had was skill on that graph, because it looks very back and forth. I don't think the gold lead has gone above 1,000, or if it has, it's pretty close to just 1,000 between these two teams swinging back and forth. This is the 1,000 gold lead, right? And Red is just about to equalize it right away. It's like, okay, INTZ gets a turret, we lead. No, Red immediately responds. Things are still on a knife's edge.
Yeah, Mia maybe looking for the engage here. That is going to be the Magnet Storm, but perfectly timed. Frosty able to get the grand entrance out of trouble, and INTZ has to back away. Important to note, cease and desist still available for Yompi. So if they can find Titan or Envy just out of position, they can lock them down.
Yeah, I think for now still, that is INTZ's best bet. They don't really want to front to back just yet. Yes, their comp will be great on it, but at this point in the game, you're kind of coin flipping a little between these teams. And for Red don't actually want a team fight anymore. They are looking for poke. The Manamune for Envy will be completed soon, and once that happens, I want to see Red just play really, really safe. Get that poke down. Yes, there's multiple tanky members of INTZ, but there's no healing. So whatever you land sticks for the actual main fight.
Yeah. The other problem, too, of trying to front to back Red is that while they don't want that team fight, they have the disengage tools to get out, right? If you throw that engage on an Aegis or an FND, explosive cask, and a, you know, Keeper's Verdict, easily gets Red out of trouble, and they can reset that fight and go back to poking with Titan and Envy. So Red have the tools to disengage if they can protect their backline.
For now, though, the issue isn't disengage, it's engage, because ZZK is just split pushing right now, and Red need to make something happen. The issue is, how do you deal with this? Do you send NB to handle ZZK, or this?
Yeah, that's going to be Aegis locking down Nia momentarily, but, I mean, it means nothing. You did get the teleport out of ZZK, which is a minor win in itself. Now you have mismatch in teleports between the top laners, so small victory here for Red, and that does get ZZK out of that split push scenario, but I don't know that INTZ minds that now Red kind of has to fight him at Baron.
Okay, Nia going in?
Yeah, Magnet Storm there on to 2. Hasn't caught the damage dealers, but still starts the fight. ZZK coming into the backline as Frosty has to attach away. A lot of damage there on the Nosferatu, and Ninja Kiwi is caught, but it is both 80 carries dead here as down goes Titan. Now can Nosferatu get it done? Is going to fall to Aegis there. Nia trying to buy some time as Frosty's going to knock it too. Yompi backing away, but it is the killing spree for FNB. It's all up to ZZK here as it's the 2v4, but it's not enough damage here from this Gwen. They're going to take him down. The kill credit goes to Envy, and just like this fight turns on its head.
And this is why we talk about Red as the best team, because comp doesn't matter, hands don't matter, it's all about that X factor, it's all about that clutch. And if we get a replay, I just want to watch and enjoy how they were baiting ZZK around. They never gave him that one target to focus on. We were scared when they started this Baron, but they just showed us why we shouldn't have been. That is, I would say, probably the best Baron bait, Baron dance we've seen in CBLOL display.
And that is a perfect example, RMC, why you could go back and watch every Red Canids game this split, and you can probably point out significant mistakes, whether it's an engage here, a macro decision you're not a fan of, but they're still 9-1 because of fights like this.
Yep, and they know how to use the composition. So right away, when the fight starts, watch for the keepers as well. Oh, probably so it was INTZ who started that, and that kind of hurt them. But look at Aegis. He yeets out, and he tracked ZZK. He was saying, this is the biggest team fight problem right now. Ninja Kiwi isn't fully online just yet, so if we yeet ZZK out, we've got the numbers advantage. And then even ZZK got back in. Look at what Frosty's doing. Frosty's buying so much time, and then they just surround ZZK. And this is typical bear baiting tactics, right? Just, hey, anytime you turn around, you poke them from behind. And just so beautifully played. I don't know if I'd say this is teamwork, but it's good team play. I'll give it that much. And the mechanics from all 4 members to pull it off. Beautiful.
And I love that we get a look at the reaction and the pop-off from Titan as he's looking at, granted, a gray screen, but his team made it happen. And I mean, hey, if you're Titan, you're going there like, yeah, sure, dump all those resources, try and kill me. The rest of my team will take you out.
Yeah, right. My life for the Baron and all of you.
He's typing worth in all chat, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty subdued as far as Titan goes as well. When he,
True.
You know, he really pops up. And now, Red, with the siege with the poke composition, pardon me, they are very effective siege tools, and you're seeing that happen right now.
Cease and desist. They're on to Titan. The follow-up win. Can it get there? They've locked down Yampi. He's going to go down. That is a Vi dead. And the kill credit. Huge Magnet Storm catches 4. Forces flash hits there out of Envy and Titan. INTZ backs away. Huge ultimate from Nia.
It doesn't even burn that much Baron time, yay. So that's one wave down. But now INTZ completely have to back off. So Red, again, playing that incredibly well. Those disengage tools you're talking about really come into play. And, you know, I was talking about the poke. It's really not about the poke right now. It's just the fact that Red have so many disengage tools that INTZ can't force the fights they needed to force. And now they're just watching turrets fall. They're watching the gold go up on Red. And INTZ's death timer, or their death clock timer, is being pushed further.
ZZK and Nia stepping forward. They are in a lockdown FMB momentarily. A lot of damage coming through here from Ninja Kiwi, but not enough. Red able to get trouble. They're no worse for wear. They'll get those Baron empowered recalls and be back on the map here very quickly.
So yeah, so Dragon's coming up in 2.5 minutes. I assume that's where we're really going to see things happen. The Baron power play is effectively over. We've got a bit of time. Let's talk about why INTZ have been struggling in these fights. We've already talked a lot about how Red have been playing them perfectly. What happened to the tools of INTZ? Why are they struggling in these team fights? Well, it's their comp doesn't really have go forward buttons very, very well. You have Vi and Rel who want to go forward, but your damage isn't really wanting to go forward. It's your Cassiopeia, it's your Xayah. They play better kiting backwards and enemies are playing into them. But going forward, we've seen Nosferos is getting left in the dust a little bit. Everybody else is too fast. Ninja Kiwi, likewise, is struggling to go forward because her feathers aren't going far enough. And that just leaves ZZK. And that's so easy for Red, because Aegis just needs to yeet ZZK out, and the fight is effectively done. INTZ can only play backwards, not forwards.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Red, you almost allow that engage to come through from Yampi or Nia, and then you just Keeper's Verdict or Explosive Cask back the backline.
True, yeah.
And you just say, like, we'll just kill your front line. And that by the time you arrive in this fight, you can't win. We have the numbers advantage, and your damage can't protect themselves from, you know, a belly bump from our big fat man in the top lane.
Sure. And now I do think INTZ is doing what they need to do, right? Like Nia will get tankier. Nia's been surviving after well in these fights at these stages. And Yampi has built tank. This is not your damage Vi. No, Yampi knows that, hey, my job is to buy time so the explosive task, the rest of my team can catch up. I mean, just look at that health bar. That's already really chunk just the Radiant Virtue and the Sunfire Cape. So for INTZ, it's just a time issue. They just need a bit more time. Red getting corralled in a slightly awkward position here. Dragon's coming in 45 seconds, but INTZ have priority right now in the mid lane.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, as Ninja Kiwi gets chunked out by the Void Seeker there of Titan, you know something that'll help with Yampi and Nia surviving in the front line in these fights? If they could pick up another Mountain Drake and get Mountain Soul, they are going to have a hard time doing it here. 25 seconds until it comes up, and Red have taken command of this bot side river, and they're getting waves pushed in as we speak. But if INTZ can secure this Mountain Soul, does go a long way to their survivability and fighting through the disengage of Red.
Sure. And we talk about the possibility of INTZ doing that, but it's fast becoming an improbability as Red is actually landing really good poke on multiple members, and you can see they just fall back the dragon as it spawns. Nia got chunked. Ninja Kiwi was kind of unhealthy, and ZZK just was not in position. So INTZ won't get it now. They can still get it later, and it's not even that big a deal for INTZ. They will trade this dragon for time. That's what it is.
We talked about it, the scaling that this composition brings to the table. Very, very difficult to deal with. So the time is still, I would say, on INTZ's side here. Is ZZK going to have to dash away from FNB, lock down there momentarily. Yappy looking for the engages. That's going to be the grand entrance. Out of trouble. Magnet Storm just locks down one. FNB is going to go bold. The Keeper's Verdict does not launch anybody out of the fight. It is a shutdown onto FNB. It's only one, but it might be the fight that INTZ has been looking for. They immediately turn back towards Baron, but Red, they're thinking about the contest.
Okay, can they find the back line? Aegis got isolated.
Yeah, Vault Breaker over the wall. Aegis is able to use the dash to get back to safety, but it's not long enough. Ninja Kiwi going to take him down. No smite available for Red.
And honestly, Aegis survived a long time, so it looked like Red could maybe try and do something, but they were just out of position. INTZ finally finds that they were, and as INTZ, how effective Red was with their Baron. Now, INTZ have to kind of the same. They don't have the same sort of whole composition, this position. But what they do is a really good comp for just setting up outside in a particular localized area and then letting the Baron, especially the Siege minion, chip away. Red is really going to struggle to hit that Siege minion as long as anybody from INTZ is willing to tank it.
And they're really good for INTZ picking up this Baron. A lot of standing bold still on the map with all of those tier 2 towers still up and alive. So they can add even more gold to their coffers in this Baron power play if they can be successful on these pushes. They're also going to look to get vision control in the enemy jungle, give themselves a little bit more safety moving around the map.
INTZ feels a little bit ambitious here with this 1-3-1 split push. Because it's a 1-3-1, your 3 can get picked off, and Aegis going in. It's on to Nia, who's super tanky, and it's going to be okay. And in the end, INTZ actually have to end up swapping to a 1-4 split push, which would have been the safer call from the very get-go. ZZK now into the mid lane, actually has to answer that push, but does have TP to rejoin the team.
And this is really good because it's not like there's incredible wave clear here on the side of Red, as that's going to be the engage coming through. Lots of damage are on Aegis, who has to run for the hills. Nia taking a lot of damage. Beautiful petrifying gaze, but the Keeper's Verdict knocks the Cassiopeia out of this fight. FNB on the wrong side, though, now all of a sudden flanked by Nosferus, and they're going to push for an inhibitor. This is a well-played Baron power play from INTZ. They will take bottom inhib.
Yeah, and this is just interesting because both teams had one member chunked, but Red sent Aegis all the way back to base because they were not confident in picking the 5v5 fight. Even under their own turret, they saw how quickly it was going down, whereas INTZ, props to Nia, low on health and still had no fear. Nia's presence in that area was what threatened Red and basically forced Red to back out, because it would have been a 5v4 should that fight have broke out. Aegis was not going to be there, fully committed to going back to base and healing up at top.
Nerves of steel from INTZ support there. Yet to die in this game through 32 minutes. I'm going to apologize in advance, Nia, because I did just cast a curse you. Your death is very quickly approaching, but playing, honestly, really, really well. And we've had a lot of love for AD carries throughout this split. Top laners, junglers have had their days in terms of MVPs. I love that today feels like we're throwing some love to support. The engaged supports have looked really good. Jojo on the Rakan earlier today was incredible. Ranger getting MVP honors for his RAL. This is a game that, I mean, Nia has been a standout for me for INZ.
Agreed, and we think about how Nia was performing last split. Nia was struggling immensely, actually at some of the worst positions we've seen from any support in League, and the changes from night to day. And that's not just on the support, that's a team thing. That's why INTZ kept their full roster together. A lot of spells being traded back and forth, but the only casualties for now are the minions.
INTZ a little tankier than they were just a few minutes ago, which means that poke a little bit less effective as we go later and later in this game. And again, they can't secure this Mountain Soul. Makes it even harder for Red to open up these fights. INTZ biding their time. That poke starting to work its way through, though, as Yompi down to half health. ZZK a little below that. Looking for a little bit of sustain as Red maintains control over this mid wave. And now that they have that wave pushing towards the inhibitor, they're looking to challenge here. Less than 10 seconds until the Drake comes up. Uh-oh, they found ZZK. They spotted him in the brush. He goes gold, but he's going to get taken down. Huge kill there from Titan, and now it's all going wrong for INTZ. Yompi get locked down. This Vi will not escape. It's going to be another Drake for Red and a double kill for Titan.
Unfortunately, ZZK was sat on the ward the entire time. This sweep didn't catch it. They didn't quite do enough bind work, and oh, I did not notice what the minions were doing. I mean, that was a double super wave. So INTZ at least able to find something, but let's be honest, that was more minions than on INTZ, and Red are still in a dangerous position. What scares me more personally, Yeso, is that Red, their poke comp is being executed well. You saw how much time they bought with their poke comp and how many shots they got off onto INTZ. You cannot allow that to happen around a Baron or an Elder Drake.
RMC, am I crazy that this starting to feel like a, you know, one hit left on Red's Nexus kind of game? Like, do you smell it too?
I'm just saying, I think Envy shouldn't have recall. He should have just let the Super take the other Nexus turret, because right now,
yeah, that would have been fun.
They don't quite have the buff. they only have half the buff, maybe?
Oh man, next Drake, 4 minutes from now, which a lot of times at 35 minutes, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, we're probably not gonna get to this next Drake. The way this one is played out, I think we're gonna get there. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens around this Baron. 35 seconds from now is setting up some vision around it here. Initially, one ward, though, in the pit for INTZ does give them information that Frosty has gone for a recall, but this next Baron is going to be pivotal for both of these teams.
Yeah, and the other thing that I need to see INTZ do a bit better this time is sweep out the area of all the wards to make sure they're not on vision, because that was what bit them at that dragon buff. INTZ, let's not forget, they were the ones who started up the Baron the last couple of times. And this time, I think Red are going to be the ones to start that up. That's an opportunity for INTZ to try and look to force them into where they can't run, can't hope, can't disengage.
Teleports available for both solo laners on Red. Nosferus just used his to get into this fight from base. Didn't want a chance walking out of base. I think that's fine. ZZK does have his, so if ZZK does want to play for a split push angle bot lane, could do it, but has elected to group here. INTZ holding strong in mid. Red has started the Baron.
Yeah, and Aegis by stepping around. INTZ don't know it's been started. They're seeing the jungler, and now it's just too late.
Wow. The Baron snuck under the noses of INTZ. Nia launched out of the topside river, and now Red with their second Baron of the game. This is going to do wonders setting up for this next Drake, because that Baron buff will last until Drake spawns.
I'm just so impressed with Red right now and how they're playing around the Baron specifically. I mean, you'd think Dragon and Baron pits are fairly similar, so you should be able to play it out either way, but Red just looked even better at the Baron pit for some odd reason, and we saw the last time Red got that Baron buff, what they were able to find. This time, I'm looking at Red to crack an inhibitor turret, and if they do, all the skill in the world kind of doesn't matter when Red can just keep getting these, forcing and taking your turrets. Eventually, INTZ is just running out of time.
Yompi on another ward there. ZZK got cut earlier. Yompi possibly the same happening here, but ZZK going for the split push. We'll hear recall going to come through from Envy to respond to this Gwen, and I think ZZK just wants to get an inhibitor. Isn't going to be able to do so this time around, but at least getting that recall out of Envy is huge, because now they can go for the engage. Teleport on its way, and that is going to be FMB going onto the backline. Huge cast catches Ninja Kiwi. He's in the wrong side of this fight. He's going to go as well. Titan takes out Yompi here. ZZK needs to have a huge fight. Nosfer's trying to back away from Envy, but will not escape. And I think the Canids have done it. It's an ace for Red, and they're stepping forward to the base. It might all be over.
Did you see Titan? That's the Titan who gets excited when he makes the great play. Again, he gray screens, but good enough. His team's going to be able to take this and win it. And Yeso, it's off the TPs. It's the fact that Red had been pushing. Red had a better ward. ZZK, he TP'd first, but he got to the fight later.
And such a clutch, explosive cast in that fight from FNB. Catches massive